This is Times Drive. I'm Joel Pereira, and this right here is the new BMW 1 Series. It's got all the trademark looks of a BMW, the world famous in India Corona headlamps, the kidney grille, the super long bonnet. But if you look beyond the front end, you'd realize it actually is quite ugly. Compared to the super funky Mercedes A-Class and the postmodern Volvo V40, this is a chunky, clunky car. And yet, I like it. I like it like 13-year-old girls like Justin Bieber. I, in fact, have Beamer fever. Because what the 1 Series does have going for it is a drivetrain that'll make you want to cheat on your wife. Modern cars came relatively late to India, so we haven't really been exposed to the old school steering in the front, power in the rear format of cars. Now the 1 Series is the only hatchback you can buy in India with rear-wheel drive, and coupled to that is a steering with as much feeling as a Bollywood ma. A tight yet forgiving chassis and suspension, and an engine that goads you into doing naughty things to it. It's also got a rear end that will swing out like an item girl. Wow, I said Bollywood ma and item girl in the same sentence. This is new even for me. Anyway, what you've got under the hood is a detuned version of the 2-litre diesel engine that you'll also find in the 3 Series and the 5 Series and the X1 and the X3. This is an engine that's putting out 143 bhp and 320 newtons of torque. Detuned doesn't bode well for this car, at least on paper, but trust us, at this size, it's a hoot to drive. Switch to Sports Plus mode. Yeah, it's got various driving modes, but more about that later. So anyway, switch to Sports Plus mode and firewall the throttle, and you're hitting 100 from standstill at 8.5 seconds, which is pretty fast. Now, compared to the A-Class's anemic 107 bhp, the 1 Series is fast enough, and the best part is the way it does it. Detuned it might be, but as far as the driving experience is concerned, it's up there with its bigger BMW brethren. Adding to the joy is an 8-speed gearbox, and unlike the double-clutch devices you find in larger Beamers, here you've got a torque converter. However, you wouldn't really know it unless we told you, which we have. You've also got 4 different driving modes, which adjust the way the engine, gearbox and steering feels, depending on your mood. There's Eco Pro, which is supposed to give you the greatest mileage, and quite honestly, we didn't really bother too much with that, for obvious reasons. Then there's Comfort mode, which is the middle of the road mode, and then the Sport and Sport Plus, which is where the 1 Series shines. Now, some of the electronic peacekeepers turn off, and this is where you can really have your way with this car. Now this is a car with 50-50 weight distribution, meaning that it roughly weighs the same in the front as it does in the rear. It's got a stiff chassis and suspension and sharp body control with no roll. What that means, of course, is that in this car you can have a lot of fun. It takes a little getting used to, of course, because this is a rear-wheel drive car, and most of the cars we drive here have power going to the front wheels. Now switch the car into Sports or Sports Plus mode, and this car will shimmy in and out of corners like a coked-up salsa dancer. It might sound a little dangerous, but you can always remember this: the safety systems aren't turned off as much as they're inactive, lurking around like a PG Woodhouse butler, and will pull you out of trouble every time your drive becomes a little too exuberant. Ride quality is also pretty decent and definitely better than the A-Class. This is not a car that will crash over bad roads, and it's pretty pliant. But all said and done, it's not plush. If the powertrain is pure BMW, then so are the interiors. It's not blingy in the way you'll find in an Audi or an A-Class, but once you sit in, you won't realize that this car comes in the bargain basement section of the BMW model inventory. We're driving the top-end Sportline Plus version, so you've got all the bells and whistles like iDrive, 6 airbags and parking sensors. Clearly, this is a car that's been designed for the driver because the front seats are fabulous. And the seats in the top of the line version come with electronic adjusters and a lot of bolstering. Now the back seat of the 1 Series is where things start to go wrong. It's all black in here, so getting in feels like you're being swallowed. Also, you don't have too much legroom. You've got a fair bit of headroom and you've got AC vents in the back, but the small rear windows make the car feel very claustrophobic. Also, rear-wheel drive, which means huge transmission tunnel. What that essentially means is that you've got space only for two. Also, like we said earlier, I think this car is kinda ugly. It's off-proportioned and the rear especially is just plain. Compared to the A-Class and the V40, the 1 Series is practically dowdy, which is strange because now the BMW is the dowdy one. Good thing it's wearing the right jewelry. And that jewelry, like all jewelry, comes at a price. The lowest end one begins at 20.9 lakh rupees, while the middle of the line version, the one that everyone's going to buy, will cost you about 25 lakhs. The one we're driving, of course, is the Sportline Plus, the top of the line version, which is actually quite expensive at 29.9 lakh rupees. Now, normally entry-level cars are meant to give you a little taste of what the rest of the brand stands for, a little slice of what life can be if you pony up the extra cash and buy the larger model, maybe a little later when you have a little more cash. With the 1 Series though, if the driving experience is all you're after and unless you absolutely need that boot and more legroom in the back, you really don't have to worry about getting a larger car. The one will do just fine.
Before you leave.